Evening and thank you for being with us. The former head of the Thunder Bay Christmas Cheer Fund is facing serious allegations of fraud and breach of trust.
Thunder Bay police have laid charges against Linda Gamby, alleging she defrauded the charity while she was chair of approximately $22,000. The charges come after the Christmas Cheer Fund committee made a complaint of financial concerns to police in January. The Economic Crime Unit launched an investigation into the matter, which has resulted in the charges of fraud over $5,000 and breach of trust. Thunder Bay Police spokesperson Chris Adams says there appears to have been a number of incidents involving the alleged mishandling of funds.
It appears that there were probably a number of transactions that were questionable. And the fact of the matter is that the charitable organization had to do an audit, which is pretty standard. The findings of that audit, along with evidence that was gathered during the investigation, led to the charges.
Jolene Kemp, the current chair of the Christmas Cheer Fund, says the board is profoundly disappointed. Kemp says the Christmas Cheer Board brought the matter to police right away.
Disappointment and sadness in something like this happening. So we just, on behalf of the board, needed a moment to just be able to say, whoa, this is reality.
None of the allegations have been proven in court. 60-year-old Gamby will appear in court on March 4th. The charges come on the heels of a very public dispute between Gamby and the CLE board over its open bar policy. That led to her being voted off the board and subsequently stepping down from the Christmas Cheer Fund. The fund and the CLE board are not connected in any way aside from the use of CLE property during the hamper collection and handout.
There has been another delay in the planned opening of the new Marriott Hotel in Thunder Bay. The city's chief building official says the floors on the 2nd to 5th stories of the hotel need to be reinforced after the concrete material began to show major deficiencies. The Marriott TownePlace Suites is being built along the Harbor Expressway. The 5-story, 148-room hotel was originally supposed to open before Christmas, but things were put on hold in November when the concrete subfloors on the upper levels began to shrink, crack, and even had several holes punched through them.
There was instances where some of the machines or some of the equipment was actually punching through the floor. No, it's not a normal problem. This is unusual for a building this size and nature. We typically do not see structural problems like this on buildings in Thunder Bay.
Engineers from the concrete subfloor supplier, the hotel ownership, and the city came up with an acceptable solution last week. The first step was repairing the places where the concrete was damaged. Crews will now spend the next 4 weeks reinforcing the floors on all of the upper levels.
So they're in the process right now. They started about 2 weeks ago. They are installing the corrective measures, which includes sheet steel over the panels, the subfloor panels, and a fire retardant plywood over top of that.
There have also been rumors that the hotel's foundation was settling into the ground, but Stoltz says that is not the case. The Marriott's general manager, Derek Jones, says they're happy to be moving forward now that a solution to the concrete problem has been found, and he says reservations are now being taken starting for March the 14th.
A coalition of regional representatives say the province's decision to restrict the operating hours at the Thunder Bay Generating Station is unacceptable. Mayor Keith Hobbs and the Intergovernmental Committee will make this issue a priority with several provincial cabinet members later this month. Phil Darlington has more.
The Thunder Bay Generation Station has been running all out since January 7th, and with the high energy demand coming from the cold weather, the biomass supply that the government has said the station will be given is not enough, according to the coalition of regional representatives. The government has said that the plant can use 15,000 tons of biomass a year. Between the amount of fuel and the suggested run times, Mayor Keith Hobbs says the city will not have its needs met.
You know, running the plant 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, just doesn't cut it. You've seen what kind of winter we've had this year. Had we been using biomass, our supply would have been gone. And it's just totally unacceptable. It's been 3 years that I, as mayor, have been dealing with this, and our city council and the intergovernmental and NOMA, and we're quite frankly tired of it. It's nonsense.
The coalition is asking for 75,000 tons up front, with more in reserve if needed. The city and the surrounding area has had a large demand, and the task force says the need will continue to grow as more mines open up in the region over the years.
Atikokan's could have 90,000 in 1 year, and we're talking 75,000 over 5 years. So It's a little confusing as to how they got to where they did, and we've used in January 1,690 tones more than we would have with 15,000 tons of supply. So if this was next year and we're using biomass, we'd be out of biomass already if we only got 15,000 tons a year.
The coalition has been pushing for the station to be converted to natural gas. They say the biomass is 130 to 200% more expensive than natural gas, and that the $100 million conversion price tag will be easily recovered over the life of the station.
Well, we want that conversion done by the end of 2016. At the end of this year, coal, as you know, is finished, and that gives us 2 years to get it done.
The other option is to import electricity from the rest of Canada and the United States, but Hibbert says that the current east-to-west transmission lines fail on average 12 times a year, meaning that the need for the Thunder Bay generation station is very great. Phil Darlington, TBT News.
Thunder Bay City Council is looking at a huge deficit in its municipal childcare operations. A number of different issues are leading to increased costs and dwindling enrollment. The budget increase needed for the 4 city-run daycares this year is nearly $775,000, and that figure is expected to grow by another 25% next year. Dennis Ward has the latest.
Some members of council are already on the record as saying it's time for the city to get out of the daycare business. Rebecca Johnson will try to do just that during budget deliberations next week. The number of licensed daycares in the city has increased significantly in recent years. Full-day kindergarten has also resulted in the loss of children at both private and municipally run facilities. This year, the city expects to lose $3,300 a day providing the service. A report coming to council Monday night contains no recommendations. Manager of Municipal Child Care, Bev Ball, says the city continues to explore options. One idea is adjusting the delivery model, including staffing. That would include discussion with the union. QP87 President Marie Dean has already stated she is against the closure of any of the 4 daycares. Ball says if council decides on closure, it would be a gradual wind down, so not to affect families and children. But there may not be a lot of support on council for that option. Ian Angus says he's against the idea, and Mayor Keith Hobbs says anxious parents who can't find daycare now are already contacting him. The city is projecting a deficit of nearly $1 million next year if they continue to maintain the current level of service. Dennis Ward, TBT News.
People are gathering at the Fort William First Nation Community Center at this hour, discussing the economic impact the closure of the James Street Swing Bridge has had on residents and local business. The meeting is expected to draw a large crowd both from Fort William First Nation and the City of Thunder Bay. Mayor Keith Hobbs is expected to be in attendance along with private business owners. Representatives from CN were invited to attend but have since declined. It's an open forum designed to provide an opportunity for people to express their concerns on the impact the closure has had when it comes to safety and the economy. We'll have more from the meeting tonight on our late edition.
First Nations chiefs are calling Prime Minister Stephen Harper's pledge of nearly $2 billion to reform the First Nations education disappointing. Harper unveiled that new education plan last Friday at a school in southern Alberta. Harper called it a historic and great day for Canada, for First Nations communities, and for the next generation. But not everyone agrees. Ontario Regional Chief Stan Beardy calls it slim on detail and direction. And Anishinaabe Grand Chief Harvey Yesno says the funding still isn't enough to get First Nations children the level of education that they need.
The funding actually doesn't kick in until next fiscal year, the first portions of it. And the big one of $1.252 billion doesn't actually kick in until 16-17, which is after the election, and including the escalator. Right now we're at 2% cap for education funding.
I'm not sure if I'm happy about anything. Definitely our needs are so great. I guess what's most upsetting overall is that a lot of the wealth creation is adjacent to our communities, anywhere in Ontario, especially in the far north, and yet the wealth is not being shared with us.
Graduation rates amongst children in First Nations are among the lowest in Canada. The new legislation would require teachers to obtain provincial certification and also should lead to improved attendance in classrooms. Beardy says they will continue to work with the government to find solutions. Despite the disagreements, the proposed legislation is still moving forward. The federal government wants the act to be in place for the upcoming school year in September. Over 100 NDP supporters came together this weekend to choose the person they believe will win the Thunder Bay Atikokan riding in the next provincial election. A nomination meeting took place yesterday at the Lakehead Labour Centre. Two candidates were vying to represent the NDP, Mary Kazoris and Madge Richardson. It's the second time the two have squared off in a nomination race, and once again Kazoris was the victor, something she was thrilled about.
Overwhelmed and humbled by the support that I received, in particular the people that I see here today from a variety of different walks of life, who are here because they're confident that this party can win, confidence in the NDP, confidence in the leader, and confidence in myself.
Party leader Andrea Horvath was also in town to take part in the nomination meeting. She says if the people across Ontario want a spring provincial election, she'll do her part to make it happen.
I don't know when the next election's coming. We all know that there is a budget cycle, and it takes a confidence motion for the government to fall. Confidence motions are budgets and throne speeches, and so we know that budget is on its way.
Kazoris joins City Councillor Andrew Folds, who's the NDP nominee in the Thunder Bay Superior North riding.
Green Party MP Bruce Heyer says the Harper government should stop boasting about their commitment to jobs and the economy. With the latest Conservative budget set to be released tomorrow, Bruce Heyer highlighted their track record from 2007 to 2012 in the House of Commons today.
Personal debt for the average Canadian has increased 26%. The increase in the national debt over $123 billion, a 25% increase. Mr. Speaker, it's budget time, and the finance minister will be saying the word jobs and the economy a lot. Yeah, right.
Thunder Bay Police have arrested a man following an incident on Simpson Street last night. Officers were responding to a 911 call just before 8 o'clock following a report of a possible break-and-enter at an Esso service station. Officers arrived to find broken glass and then discovered a 41-year-old man hiding inside an office. After a short struggle, a suspect was taken into custody. He's been charged with break-and-enter with intent, possession of break-in instruments, and resisting arrest.
The province's Special Investigation Unit is looking into a weekend incident in Red Lake that left a woman injured. It happened as OPP officers were investigating a noise complaint at a Red Lake residence. Upon arrival, the woman refused to let the officers in and advised them she had consumed an unknown quantity of medication. Concerned for her safety, the officers broke in, but an altercation ensued during which a firearm was discharged by police. The woman was taken to hospital for treatment of an undisclosed injury, while two officers also were treated in hospital and released.
It has been a slow start to the 2014 new home construction season here in Thunder Bay. Canada Mortgage and Housing says only 2 new single-detached starts were recorded in January. That compares to 4 in January of last year and is slightly lower than the 10-year average. CMHC officials say the unusually cold temperatures last month probably played a role.
It's become a popular online drinking game across the world, but officials from the District Health Unit say it's also dangerous and irresponsible. And that point was driven home this weekend when 2 men in Britain died after drinking large amounts of alcohol in a short amount of time. The Facebook drinking game is called Neck Nomination, and it's gone viral. The game, which is believed to have started in Australia, has people posting a video of themselves downing alcohol in an extreme manner and then nominating someone to do the same within 24 hours. It's become popular among students because groups of friends are attempting to outdo one another. Sheena Albanese is the health promotion planner with the District Health Unit. She says it's always important to call 911 if someone is showing symptoms of alcohol poisoning.
It's really important to recognize that someone who's unconscious or passed out is not responding, or someone who's had been drinking a lot and is vomiting, or pale and sweaty, or bluish skin, slow, shallow breathing. These are all signs of alcohol poisoning. It's an emergency, so 911 should be called.
Albanese says alcohol poisoning is different for everyone. She says it's important for women to stay within the limit of 3 drinks at a time and 4 drinks for men. For anything above that, she says the risk of alcohol poisoning only goes up.